Hello guys, here's Chris from Legends of Epica. Today I want to present you a brief tutorial on how to create characters with Character Creator from Reallusion Character Creator 2. Obviously, if you want to get the nice stuff with Character Creator, you have to buy additional content packs. It's kind of expensive. You can get some discounts. So for instance, if you buy iClone 7 at the moment and then sign up and register the product, sign up for newsletter that is, you will receive a 40% discount coupon code for your next purchase. So for instance, you just buy iClone, includes Character Creator 2, and then you sign up for newsletter and you will receive the 40% discount coupon, and then you buy some content packages with a 40% discount. So you need additional stuff like just for the option to export FBX characters, you need the so-called 3D Exchange software, which comes at the pop of $500. With a registered account, it's like $349 still. So it's, I would say, I cannot recommend this 100%, but if you look at the alternatives, for instance Mixamo, we had kind of nice character creator but with limited options for closing and customizations, and since it hasn't pinned out as people expected, so here you have additional content stuff. For instance, I load this preset here, and you have some more options. If you get additional stuff, you need to get hair, you need to get skin, you need to get face presets, and you can combine these assets to some degree. You can run into some issues. I will briefly outline, like clipping. Here's an example. You see some small clipping here, and if you go to Window, Close Layer, Settings, you have this nice panel here where you can run collision tests and maybe hide meshes. Alt and right mouse is moving around here. Left mouse is checking another angle, and I briefly want to show you how you can manage this kind of clipping. So this is, I click this here, this is the anti-mesh, but we just want the tunic, so I select the tunic here from the close layer settings, and now I run a collision test. It might actually already, voila, got rid of the clipping. However, these collision tests and auto hide mesh tests can actually introduce additional issues, like that you get some holes in your meshes. So before you go ahead and export, it's always worth to go and check the character if it's really like you want it to be exported. For instance, here you can see the mesh, the legs from the body is still there. Sometimes these are getting removed because it's not actually an issue. Nobody in the game will go from looking below, so we eventually can get rid of this body mesh for the legs, which would improve somewhat the performance if we account for this. Anyway, so we want to export a basic character. We want a character to use as a player character, and which we then equip with extra additional gear later on inside the game as the player progresses on his adventure. I decided to export this character here, so we're using some standard clothes here. The hair is extra, and if you wonder about the shadows here, those will not be visible in on the textual editor in the game. This is a character creator issue. So yeah, this is a standard model we will use in our game as a player character. And now we go ahead, export it. So we tick convert bone structure for Unreal 4 rig, and we want everything in one folder. That's everything we do here. Delete hidden mesh, we don't actually have a lot of hidden mesh here. So we go ahead. I name this one default female 1, because the plan is to add morph targets later. We can already import morph targets for the head, for the jaws, eyes, smile and so on, but eventually we want character customization, that the player can create his own. Go ahead, import it into Unreal. Upon import we need to select a skeleton. We pick a skeleton which is using the Unreal Engine skeleton, a default skeleton, or a skeleton in your project you already facilitate with other characters, of course also the Unreal Engine skeleton. And now is also the moment to import morph targets if you want them. As mentioned, morph targets currently only are limited to the head morph targets. There are like 20 morph targets for the teeth, for the mouth, for the jaws, for the forehead, for everything, for the eyeballs, everything when it comes to the head. But we eventually want for the entire body, so we leave this. That's all we do here. Then we hit the import button. Now we have this new character inside of Unreal Engine in our project, rigged to the Unreal Engine skeleton. This means every animation we have for the Unreal Engine skeleton is working with this new Reallusion Character Creator created character. So, however, there are a few things we need to set up first to make it really work, and this includes, for instance, the materials. Sometimes they are a little bit off, like the material is set to transparency, but it should be masked. For some hair, it's better to use masked hair instead of transparency hair settings. It really depends on the look. And so now we have the folder here with everything in it, like all the textures for all the different kind of body parts, and we click our mesh here. It's still compiling the shaders for us, and now we see the character in all his beauty. And you might notice that it looks a little bit off. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to highlight all these assets here, the bones here, the skeleton tree, and retarget everything to skeleton except for the pelvis bone. The pelvis bone should be animation. Yeah, this is a blend space for the character when he holds a shield and a sword. Looks good to me. So we have the character now inside of Unreal Engine. We have checked the animation. We have identified slight issues here with depending on our current animation. Anyway, this is not really an issue because our character will not run around with underwear just on, so this will be accounted for later with additional stuff put on. Anyway, what we do now is we want to click our hair, our nice hair, which is perfectly imported. Now what we are now going to do is we use the NV close painting tool. So you right click and you pick create closing data from section, and what we also want is we want physics asset, and we have a physics asset which in this case will be our other default character we are using. Otherwise, if you this is your first character used with your skeleton, you pick this physics asset. However, you will have to adjust the physics asset after we have created a new closing selection. We go to activate close paint, and then in this menu you basically mostly use brush and smooth, and brush is basically a huge brush which can paint, and we make it a little bit smaller. So we click select our selection, and this is default, and now we need to decide where actually this selection will behave like hair is moving around, and on the not on the head directly, but here we can begin painting, and we move along maybe like this, and more to the top, to the head, we want to make some smooth transition to the parts which are solid bound, so to say, and we use a smooth brush, and we paint the rest for the smooth brush. Check, and that's it. You can adjust some settings here, but we first want to take a look at this, so we deactivate the close paint, and now all we have left to do is select our newly painted close selection to the actual related hair. So we go here, closing, none selected, so but we just created one, so we select take this. So again compiling, and you already see, wow, so you see the hair is moving. Alright, and because we have our config is using the physics asset, yeah, your physics asset might be different. It could mean that the hair is off, like going more sideways. Then you need to go into the physics asset you are using, and usually they are not yet perfect. So this means eventually you want to adjust the different shapes to fit the body. Alright, this is everything we do here, and now we take another look again at our materials. For instance, let's take the eye. Unreal Engine offers special settings for the eye, and is this eye perfectly set up? It uses a default setup, and let's see if we can improve. This is the eye currently. It looks, yeah, there's not much to say. It doesn't look really bad, but it doesn't look really good either. So let's try a shading model which uses the eye. There might be additional settings which may or may not improve the visuals here. Yeah, it's hard to say if there is really a difference now. The skin. What I tend to do with skin generally in these default settings, I go to roughness and at a constant node with 0.5 doesn't make the look too dry or too specular. Now we have the character with animation. We have painted our hair, and you will notice this is really adding to the character. It really looks like hair is moving, and the character is starting to do action. Jump into the game with this character. Here in this project, assign the mesh for usage, and because we have the same skeleton, the animation blueprint is already working. Only this hair we used for the previous mesh, we hide this. So you see we have the character we just made with a few mouse clicks inside of Character Creator, imported it successfully. There are not really issues, so to speak of, and we have painted the hair with NV close painting. We have this setup we can use for all our characters, so if you use one skeleton, you use one animation blueprint. And now is the question how you deal with the hair when the character uses a helmet. So you eventually want a setup without the hair. There is some slight issue here with the hair. This is probably due to the physics asset from the other character we used. So we probably have to change this bulge here. We have to change our physics assets. So what we found is that we can adjust the character for the most part very much as we would expect when everything would work, except for the clipping again. Clipping with underwear and body mesh. Again, this depends on animation, this depends on the meshes, how they are set up. We need to test this with trousers, and usually with trousers are not so closely aligned to the body mesh that you actually have enough air gaps. Preferred would be body morph targets connected with the different geo meshes, under close meshes, to avoid this entirely. Another issue is with the hands. You can see the thumbs are slightly misaligned. Same for the fingers, like this is the setup for the left hand on the right hand and vice versa. Not entirely sure. There's probably a fix for this, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming Character Creator 3 standalone version, exporting characters with the scope on game engine development. At least this is what Reallusion is doing since at least a year, hence why they have so many quality packs in their content store of very good quality, and they will probably release more of this kind of quality in the future. And yeah, this is something I'm looking forward to, and if you can work out these issues with these hands, then there's nothing really negative about this. And so you can check out Reallusion's Character Creator trial version for free, and you can use the trial version of 3D Exchange, the tool which you will need to install if you want to export FBX. You can use 15 exports with a trial valid for 30 days, and then you can see for yourself, can check these results. Yeah, so let me know what you think in the comments.